Okay, it appears like everything is started. Hey guys, this is March 29th, tea time. It's going to be a little mini tea time. It's been quite a while. We're rethinking tea time. Um, so we sent out a couple of links. If you guys could check out the links at the bottom of the email, both for the reinventing tea time and the normal tea time. We have both the schedule and if you want to be like affiliated with it in any way, please watch the page. And I guess I'll probably start some sort of like email list as well. But it's that funny mix of trying to reach out to the most people, but also not wanting to spam the people that don't want to be spammed. So there's going to come a time where I'm going to, stop spamming everything. So please watch that and get on the mailing list, I guess, whenever it's created. And the funny time is because Paul is leaving us, and we all love Paul. So we'll look forward to him talking right after I bore you about Markov chains. So I wrote a plugin for Helga to ingest different corpuses to generate from Markov chains some random dialogue. So I have on here the kind of like boring math-like representation of what this is kind of showing, where this is just a simple Markov state diagram where you can go from any state to any other state. So for what I did, just feel free to replace, think of it like this, but with all the different words that you're telling Helga to learn. And all the probabilities are more so set. They're not like as variable as this because it's not really learning except through the text that you give it. So you might have certain non-stop words like, what's a good example? Like awesome, I don't know. And then if two different sentences include the word awesome, then you might branch 50% probability to jump over to another sentence or 50% chance to jump off here. This is mostly stemming off of this guy's awesome work. So this guy works at BuzzFeed, and he wrote a very, 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 very simple version of Markov to emulate Markov models. And I decided that I needed to make my own plugin. So this is all mine now, by the way. You, depending on his, and you can ingest any of the data that you want from a particular URL, expecting that it will be plain text. None of this HTML fancy business needs to be plain text. And you'll want to tell it to ingest something. This is just an identifier so that you can teach it different kinds of things. So like Zen, it stands for the Zen of Python, so that you don't have to just all teach it within the same corpus. It can draw from different, whatever the plural of corpus is. You can also just give it straight text. You can teach it from dpaste. Thanks, Paul. You can teach it from Twitter. So one of the examples you guys might have seen a while back was Donald Trump. It learned from Donald Trump Twitter what stuff that he might say. You can do that, and I can show that in a minute in the demo. You can also ingest from channel logs, depending on your configuration, because there might be like privacy-related issues. I want to say it might be off by default. I'm not really sure. And then you can just drop it if you like fail to teach her something, or she becomes a jerk like Tay. Then you can just drop it all completely. So yeah, I guess that's all. So let's just go straight to a demo. So I have a Helga locally. I untaught it a bunch of stuff. So I'm going to reteach it some. Well, here, let me first, I guess, show that it doesn't really know. So when you don't have anything, well, and it keeps looking, so it's not like the fastest thing in the whole wide world. You can see that it doesn't have anything for Zen. So I'm going to teach it about the Zen of Python. And just so that you guys see and like verify, oh no, this is not what I expected.
Yeah, it looks like Paul dropped out.
Oh, that's very sad. Well, and he has a link, so I guess I'll just, we can address that at the end, maybe, if he doesn't come back. So anyways, yeah, sorry, I have the Zen of Python here in plain text. And let's see, did I teach it yet? No, I didn't. So what we expect is that it will ingest this as part of its corpus, and that from certain things like this, you'll see it says is better, is better, is better. Those are great examples of where the Markov chain might branch off. So if I go ahead and paste if I paste to teach it about the Zen of Python there, then we can say go ahead and generate Zen, and it'll say silly things like explicit is better than ugly. or dense or whatever. Simple is better than dense. Nice. So you can imagine I eventually got some good stuff off this. You can teach it text. That's kind of a little boring. Depaste. The Twitter. Okay, the Twitter was where stuff started kind of getting a little funny. Do you guys have any suggestions in the meantime? Do you guys have any suggestions for Twitter stuff that you want to see? So I have Nihilist Arby's up here because he's always good for a laugh. And first, I guess, let me prove that indeed Nihilist doesn't have anything. Oops, I spelled it wrong. So there's nothing there right now. So I'm going to teach it right now. Go ahead and ingest Nihilist Arby's corpus. You can see in the background it's reading a whole bunch of tweets. And then I'm an idiot and apparently left PDB there. Whoops, my bad. So now it knows, and now we can generate stuff. Like a lone fever dream in an... If you don't see this, I'll just read it out. Like a lone fever dream in an Arby's cup, it's still breakfast time. The lights are off. So profound. So it'll say stuff like how Arby's would read. I don't know where those tweets are. It's an enormous corpus of text within all of Twitter, but this is kind of like like what he would say. Yes, you see some good old pointless stuff and some good old eat at Arby's. And you can, again, log the channel log. So this is you can do channel logs from a certain time whenever you install it. And you can also say, using another plugin that I wrote, it can read plugins that are written to the, or logs that are written to the file system. So you can pick up on any channel and any start date. So this is like basically the whole thing. And then when you generate from that tag, that same tag, then it'll say something like what you guys talk about in the channel. So that's about it. Some of the future steps I was thinking about is not just generate from the channel and just generate a random sentence, so it's completely random. What I want to do is say, hey, I want you to talk about a specific topic. And what I think that would look like is that instead of completely new random nodes, you can seed it with, like, I don't know if it would be the starting or at least somewhere in the middle, one of those nodes would have the phrase that you're trying to say. So that was an option. Do you guys have any questions? And or in the meantime, does anybody want me to teach it something from Twitter and you guys see the output? And that's all. I'll monitor, I guess I'll monitor. Oh, I got some suggestions from Burns. Let's see, I'll teach it. Swift on security. And the handle is Swift on security, right? I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yes. There we go. I was wondering, is this spitting out snippets of text, or is it generating it based on like an algorithm of some sort?
Yeah, it's generating it based on Markov chains. So
I'm new to all of this. So
this is just one of the ways that you can do it. The ZenOf is probably the best example for that because we could see the complete plain text. What is this? Oh, a Wealth of Nations. I was going to bore you guys to death. Well, nowhere. Where was the first thing I said for Zen? Nowhere in that text did it say explicit is better than complicated. It said explicit is better than implicit. Now I also said
implicit is better than complicated. Is it inferring that, or just a you know what I'm saying? Like,
that's a really great question, and this is exactly a really great scenario to like show what it's doing. So it says explicit is better than complicated, and then you'll see down here it says complex is better than complicated. So what it did was it's generated, it just randomly picked, and it said, well, let's start with explicit. So explicit is, and then right at is, well, and just for simplification we'll say is better. Is any other sentence in the corpus, does it contain is better? So it had a, how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6-ish. So it had a 16% chance, roughly, of choosing any one of these suffixes, since there just happens to be 2.
So if you were to use numbers in that case, it wouldn't follow an actual logic though. So like if you said 2 is bigger than 1 and 3 is bigger than 2, it couldn't infer that 3 is bigger than 1. It just would just use random text. So it might accidentally say 1 is bigger than 3 as well.
Yeah, with the greater than, since it interprets it, it's not like, it doesn't know math. So, okay. Yeah, if you had a greater than symbol and that was like a word like this and like this, I mean, it wouldn't know the difference between explicit and simple, and if it were the numerals 0 and 1. Oh crap! I took too long. So it learned about Taylor. I learned about Taylor Swift, which, by the way, these are all what are they called? Novelty accounts on Twitter. Oh my goodness, this is long. Okay, so here's what it says, Burns. Return tweet to some username, Microsoft, that might be significant. The coolest official Microsoft logo of all impacted Juniper Screen OS devices in the cloud is the most valuable company who plays on the desktop. Feel the burn. I don't know what that means at all, but it's awesome because it's artificial intelligence and it's Helga, and we need to install it.
So basically, this is not actual, because it doesn't make sense.
Oh no, it'll probably
doesn't make sense.
No, it's just garbage.
So this would be a good way of like generating like tag clouds or anything like that.
We used to use it to generate spam content for our AdSense sites back in the day.
Oh, okay.
Not Cox. Me and my shady friends.
Yeah, but so some of the stuff that you get, like, I don't know, I say a bunch of crap on my Twitter, but I generated from my Twitter, and one of the things it says was free and open source software. It only takes one highly incentivized dealer to get $4,057 a month doing nothing. And I never said that, but I like it. It is hilarious. I was like, Helga saw into the eyes of my soul with that. So it's useless. I go through a lot of work to just say dumb stuff, like teach Helga how to do dumb gags. I could teach Agile principles. Let me do this ad server too while we're at it. Does anybody have any other questions?
Markup, it does have practical implications. On series that tend to follow particular documents.
So here's the sad server result, by the way. I'm pretending to be good or bad for you to be a sysadmin that can actually configure SendMail. I could see a troll sysadmin actually saying that. Sorry, I didn't actually hear you super well. I think that was Drew. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, strange.
Yeah, he's explaining it a different way. Yeah, that's right, Pete. And it can be super useful. I'm just using it in a useless way. Any other questions? All right, Paul, you good?
Yeah, I'll give it a go. My net connection and my computer are both overwhelmed by the moment, but I'll soldier through.
All right, what a guy. Thanks.
So let me get a window to share here. Hey, everybody. All right, so I'm going to get this. My slides are complete as far as they go, and I'll fill in the gaps with words. So there we go. Apologies for the delay. One of the rituals of finishing employment is returning company equipment, so I shipped off my nifty, high-powered Dell Linux workstation, and I'm falling back to my personal MacBook Air circa 2010, which was fast back then, but now not so much. Okay, so I have my slide window, and I'm going to share it. All right. Share this. Boom. All right, so do you see my title slide?
Not yet.
Not seeing anything.
My computer claims it's sharing, but it's probably still chewing on it. Google Chrome, all told, is using approximately 130% of my available CPUs. Anything yet?
Not yet, but I believe in you.
I have the green bar that says you are screen sharing, and a little hover that says Google Hangouts is sharing your screen with plus google.com, and I'm on. I have an office mate who's sharing our connection and also on a extended video conference, so bandwidth has become tight. All right, if this doesn't come along in 10 to 20 seconds, I'm going to have to bail on it.
Sounds good. And/or if they're slides, I could show them alternatively.
You could. Then I'd have to just say ding and have you advance them. You up for that?
Sure, if that's okay with you.
All right. Here, let me shoot you the URL. Again, everyone, thanks for your patience. This is the ultimate in live demo, working it out while the audience is patiently waiting.
Hey man, today the world revolves around you.
Right, that's why I'm so great. Okay, so John, I just hit you with a URL. Tell me if you can view it or not. If you can't, I will add you.
It says I need permission.
Okay, here's a shareable link. Blam. All right. So it claims anyone with the link can view it.
It curiously only changed a few parameters at the very end.
Yeah, I think it also at the same time changed the perm for something. But anyway, does that load?
Yes. Saving the ad system, forking for the win.
Right.
All right, let's see if I can present. Stop. How's that?
Great, thank you. All right, so here's my story. This is something I wanted to talk about because we a long time ago, the announcement was made that we were going to migrate to a new CMS, and then that turned into 2 new CMSs. And really, right now, we support, I'd say, about 4. We have Medley, and we also have WordPress, which is used for emergency publishing via WordPress VIP and some blogs. And then we also have Lacana, and we also have Method. So we are supporting quite a lot of systems at once, in case you were wondering why you feel so busy. But the Medley support is still crucial, of course, because that's where the bulk of our traffic is going. And I was on the interaction team, which was owner of the ad system. And this is a little story of a dramatic turn that the ad system took and how we fixed it. So, ding, you can go to the next slide, John. So, DFP is Google's ad service, long ago known as DoubleClick for publishers. But anyway, that's where we get our ads, and that's what the ad team works with when they are organizing campaigns, and that's what's managing the actual ad inventory for the advertisers and so forth. So that's DFP. Agility is our system that talks to DFP. So you can go ding, next slide. This is the first of many pages of documentation we got in our system about Agility. But the gist is that Agility is a system that lets the ad staff define ad slots and ad units and a library of template tags that are in our page templates that then render the code that talks to that manages the ads and talks to DFP. There's if you ding next slide. This is just an example of some of the stuff that Agility generates in our templates. This is the slot names for ads are things like HPO1, HPO2, and so forth. Anybody who works with the ads a lot sees those names all the time. But this is the code that's generated in the page, and then there's a whole slew of JavaScript that handles fetching the JSON ad data and putting it into the right blocks in the page. So that's what Agility does. And it also, if Ding, see the next slide there, it also spits out debug information every page. There's a surprising amount of detail about what slots were rendered and so forth in every single page. That's all coming from Agility. Again, this is code that we wrote that deals with ads in our pages. It's not a third-party library. So let's see, and Ding, next slide this is just a real simple example of the other critical thing that Agility does. It has a management command called sync ad units, which lets us take the definitions of ad units that have been made in the Medley admin in the Agility app and pushes them to DFP, pushes them to Google, and creates definitions for them in the DFP system so that then actual ad inventory that's been sold can be mapped against those ad units. Ad unit is an opaque term which basically means a category on one of our properties. It's a combination of a property and basically a path. It might be sports, it might be sports high school, it might be sports hockey, it might be local news, it might be weather, all sorts of things. And so if an advertiser only wants to have paid ads on the weather page, they only want to have them when it's raining, then we have a way to make that happen. But this command gets that data from Medley into DFP. Okay, so then there's one more slide. Agility background. This is what it looks like after the sync happens. You see that field that says DFP ad unit ID. We get that back from DFP. They confirm that they've created that ad unit in their system. So there's they have a whole admin panel. But this is what Agility does for us, and it is what makes the ad system work. If Agility breaks, no ads appear on any of our pages, and I believe that represents a lot of money. So what's the problem? Ding, I think you can go to the next page. All right, so this is my last prepared slide, but all this magic that Agility does, talking to Google, hinged on a library from Google called Ads by Google. It's a Python library to their API, and Agility was written to that library. Sunset was Google's way of saying that they're not updating the library anymore. What came along with that was deprecation and then shutoff of
deprecation.
Deprecation warning.
I love that word. Sorry.
The DFP API is versioned. The very last possible version that it could still talk to was going to be shut off at the end of February 2016. So they announced this change basically a year in advance, that this library was not going to be developed anymore, and that about a year hence, just last month, the newest API that it would be able to talk to, the only API that it would be able to talk to, was going to shut off. And so a couple of us noticed this and cut tickets to the effect of, we need to address this issue before that date because all ads will stop serving. If so the fix wasn't clear at first because the catch is, and I didn't get this screen grab in there. The catch is there is a replacement library from Google. It's great. Requires Python 2.7. We don't run Python 2.7 in production. And so we looked at this we mapped out the options. We could, what does it take to upgrade Medley production to Python 2.7? What does it take to fork the library and backport it to Python 2.6? What does it take to create some sort of middleware service that will take calls from the old library that we're still running that works with Python 2.6 and translates them to Python 2.7 and talks to Google? We investigated all these possibilities, and Python 2.7 in prod, every developer would be happy about that, but it was judged to be a massive project, even though Medley itself runs in Python 2.7 without too many issues, because every developer is doing that in their VMs. All the production infrastructure with very brittle, hard-coded dependencies is built around Python 2.6 and was estimated to be a couple months of fully devoted engineer time to make prod work in 2.7. So we forked the library. And what that meant was that it's open source, it's on Google, and we forked it, and then I cut a branch that is the Python 2.6 backport branch, and that is still there now, and that is what we're using. So the good news of the backport was it was easy. The reason it's on Python 2.7 is not because of some critical Python 2.7 only features. It's just because, hey, that's modern supported Python, and why would Google bother making it run on Python 2.6? So it was a matter of things like set literals, very tiny changes to the library to make the fork work in Python 2.6. And so we have a fork of that in our Cox Media Group GitHub repo that has a branch in it that is Python 2.6 branch, and that's our production version of this library. So we're not using the Google stock one, but we're using ours. It's fairly small, and in the event of critical upstream changes, we should be able to rebase or otherwise get our changes, merge in the upstream changes without too much drama. So the deadline was the end of February, specifically end of the day of February 29th. And so the good news is we did it, because if we hadn't done it, then there would be no ads showing up on Medley pages anywhere. And so the cost is we have this fork of the library, which we may need to maintain, but otherwise is solve the problem for us. It was a big pull, and it was a big leap, and certainly not without nerve-wracking anxiety in anticipation of it maybe not working, and knowing that the alternatives were super labor-intensive. But in the end, we did it, and we saved the ad system, and it will soldier on serving ads until Medley is turned off and put back into the closet. So that is the end. You can go ding, and then my last slide just says, thanks, y'all. There you go. I threatened that I might have some bonus material. I have a quiz, a funny quiz. Oh, where did my quiz go? Pardon me. This is sort of it's a trivia question, which is, back in the long ago time, I contributed to Django a few things. I think I'm safe to say this is before most of you were even using Django. Back when it was really easy to contribute because there was a lot of stuff that wasn't in there. And so Medley runs on Django 1.3, and I happen to have here a RevSys, Revolution Systems, Django 1.3 cheat sheet. Look at this. I don't know if this will work. I boldly tried to turn on my camera. It may just not work.
Hey, Paul, I was having an issue with Google Hangouts the other day, and I left and came back in, and everything started working okay.
That may be may be it for me, or I may just have to give this up and say, you don't need to see the prize to do the contest. So I'm just going to go to the contest, and this is a. So if you guess the answer to this question correctly, then I will send you the collector's edition Django 1.3 cheat sheet, no longer available in stores. Directly pertinent to all work on Medley running on Django 1.3. Here is the.
Uh-oh.
Everybody's leaving.
That was the dramatic reveal, too.
Somebody play the intermission music.
He is fighting. There he goes. It appears that Paul put a depaste in the Tea Time channel. So jump on that, everybody.
And I have to say, Curtis Mullins is the winner. He jumped on it. And can you hear me, Art? Am I in?
Yes.
Okay, great. So yeah, Curtis Mullins guessed or just knew correctly that of the three, the third one is made up. So the three, if you didn't take a look at the DPaste, the three alleged Django management commands, your built-in commands with ship with Django: DB shell, diff settings, and export. And Gertis guessed correctly that export is the one that is not real. That means the other two are ones that I invented. And the tricky thing about this question is I don't think anyone has ever used the diff settings command.
I was just going to ask what that does. I never even seen it.
I kind of can't believe it's still in Django. I must have created it like 9 years ago. It basically it generates a diff of your settings, your project settings PI file against the template that comes into a blank project. And at some point in the past, that was useful to me, and somehow the command is still there. But yeah, that was my trickiness. Was I'll list this command that no one has ever used, and then maybe someone will think it's the made-up one. So, Curtis, nice job, man. All right, that's what I got. Thanks, y'all, for your patience and my absurd bandwidth problems and technical difficulties. And it's been a wonderful pleasure working with you all. I've learned a ton my time at CMG, and I've been proud to have achieved what we achieved, and serving 40 million pages a day with a Python stack. So, thanks everybody for everything you've done, and just keep in touch, keep using DPaste, and if I can do anything for any of you, reach out. You can easily find me. I'm the only Paul Bissix out there.
Thanks, Paul. It's been a pleasure.
It has been. Wish you the best.
Likewise, nice to meet you.
Cool. Well, congrats, Curtis. Again, I guess watch those pages and see y'all on IRC. Bye, everybody.
Toodles.
Bye.